Look, I get that this is a very difficult passage with some very difficult language, but you really don't want to let that mess with you, okay? You can still get these questions right, because we don't need to understand every little specific thing that these authors are saying. We can just try to understand big pictures, and for a vocab question, we should know that old-timey authors tend to repeat themselves. So the odds are good that if we're asked about a word, there's something else going on that will help us know what they meant. It's not just kind of we pick the word out of nowhere and need to define it. There's going to be something that kind of helps us. So our job really is to find matching ideas. And you'll see for this question about just this word raise, which is right here, I've included a lot of lines because this sentence kind of goes on and on and on. So I might use that to my advantage here. But in this case, there's some themes, right? I've shown how democracy destroys or modifies the different inequalities which originate in society, but is this all? Or does it not ultimately affect the great inequality of man and woman, which has seemed, up to the present day, to be eternally based in human nature? I believe that the social changes which bring nearer to the same level the father and son, the master and servant, and superiors and inferiors generally speaking, will raise woman and make her more and more the equal of man. But here more than ever I feel the necessity of making myself clearly understood, for there is no subject in which the coarse and lawless fancies of our age have taken a freer range. Okay, so right here is the match. It's not saying the exact same thing. It's saying the social changes which bring near to the same level the father and son will raise woman. So if I had to guess what was being said, I might say something like, I believe the social changes which bring up or lift up, right? It's a very physical description that they're talking about. Something is being, there's two different levels, and something is being brought up to the higher level. So that might help us understand, these choices a little bit better. So I think two of them don't fit at all. Right? If you're talking about two things on different levels and you're bringing one up, you're not cultivating them or nurturing them. Those are words that you think about, like a living thing being like a baby being nurtured, plants being cultivated. We're talking about something's position in society, and that's a weirder connection to make. So lift up doesn't really mean nurture. Cultivate doesn't really mean nurture. It doesn't really mean lift up. So that's the issue. Now, bring up is too vague, and that's where I think people have trouble, is like, you can say bring up and nurture kind of are similar, but that's why we want to maybe list a couple of guesses so we have like a general sense of what's going on, and we have multiple matches, and we're trying to find just the best overall match. Now we get to this, increase versus elevate. And I think the reason most people pick increase here is it's just a safer word. It's a word we're more comfortable with. We might know what elevate means, but because it's a word that we wouldn't, just reach for and use ourselves very often, it's not one we're going to reach for here. But it is the answer. Because you think about it, right? It's a very physical description. Woman is on a lower level, and she's being elevated to make her the equal of man, right? That's the connection. It's elevating it up. It's not increasing it, right? How do you increase a level? It doesn't really make sense. And so it's tricky, but we're not pulling this meaning out of nowhere. There are other parts of this passage that can help us, and we really want to try as much as possible to look for that, to find matching ideas. That way we're not just picking out the right vocab word in a vacuum. We might not always be, really lucky. I think this is a case where we have to kind of make do with a weak connection, but it's still something, and it still points us in the right direction, and really try to do what I'm doing, like this kind of dumb summary version of what's going on, so you can kind of better understand what they're going for and find the best match.